Hey guys, how you doing? It's the 5th of December 2025. I've just woken up from a prophetic dream. This is Acts 2:17 in the Bible. Please pray about this. I'm going to get straight into the dream. I'm going to get into the second part of the dream first, as I remember that the most clearest. I was driving a vehicle with 3 seats, alright? There was myself driving, there was someone in the middle, and next to that person was my twin brother Jamie at the end. As we were driving in from like being off grid into a city, and we reached a checkpoint. Now while we were at this checkpoint to the city, I was thinking this is 617 or 677 went through my head. I was thinking this, and I was sort of like voicing my thoughts out loud, like this is 671 or something, and then the lady was like, no, this is 666. Very stern and very firm the way she said that to me. And there was this lady wearing black uniform, and I saw a black sniper rifle, and I believe there may have been black handguns and stuff. It was a checkpoint, like a military checkpoint, but the people weren't wearing army clothes, they were wearing black clothing, okay? She walked over to me and she started speaking to me, and she said, I need to check your head and your hands. And she was looking all over my head and all over my neck. And my hands, and as she was looking over me, there was another man who was a part of them at this checkpoint. He started looking over my brother. Now I was really worried about my brother in the dream, because I was thinking he doesn't have any tattoos. I was thinking about tattoos, right? And then suddenly the lady said to me, she pointed at me and she said, he is self-baptized or something. And in my dream, I knew that meant like I was safe. And then there was like, but this is what I was thinking. But I was really, really worried about my twin brother. The dream stopped there. So let's go back to the first part of the dream. I was driving into a city. Again, it's exactly the same thing, right? And it was a checkpoint, and there were different people there this time, but they were wearing black clothing. And I believe they had weaponry. And what I saw was those that did not have the mark 666 were being taken away in like a bus, like you know those American buses, the American school buses, the yellow ones. It was like one of those buses, but it was in black. They were being taken away. I can't say where they've been taken away to. I have to share exactly what I saw in the dream, but they were taken away. As I woke up from the dream, I was talking to someone, and as I was sharing my dream with that person before I shared it with you, I felt sharp pains go through my hand here. And as I was explaining the dream, I got shivers through me, okay? I believe this to be a confirmation. Please pray about this. To me, it's very clear what the dream means. You need to read all relevant Bible verses exactly as they are for yourself. I am going off memory here. So, driving into the city, it was a 666 checkpoint. If you didn't have it, you were taken away on an American style school bus, but it was painted black. With my own thinking here, you were taken away either to be forced to have the mark or to be executed. This is my own thoughts from the dream. This is very serious. Pray about this and be ready. Again, very seriously, please pray about everything in my dream. Pray about this. Guys.
Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders, the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. This ugly Edomite dude says shares dream of military checkpoints. Because of the hour of martial law. Military checkpoints, which, you know, that's scriptural. And one thing that stood out to me was how he mentioned that the people that didn't receive the mark of the beast, they were tarred off on these black school buses, and essentially that will be them sending us to the concentration camps. Call the concentration camps, because they showed you that in the movies like The Siege. I think it was with Denzel. Was it called The Sea? Was it with Denzel Washington, if I'm not mistaken? No, Man on Fire. Was it? No, not Man on Fire. Then you had Enemy of the State, and then you had one movie with Denzel Washington in it that I believe they was detaining people in these FEMA camps. Looked like they was on like these football fields. Why the fuck is the text message coming through? And I have do not disturb on. But anyway, looked like they had them off, like bust them to like football stadiums or like a baseball field, like an arena, to house the people there that didn't comply with government mandates. And there's several movies on that. The Purge, all right, when they show concentration camps, well, not concentration camps, but they show martial law or the military homing in on our people, all right. And then there was another movie called Civil War, which came out last year, and they showed you in that movie Civil War that even though it wasn't people inside this abandoned football stadium, you could tell at a point in time it was used to house people, you know, as a detainment facility for people that didn't comply with government mandates. So what he's saying is not far-fetched. It's not offbeat, okay? Because the scriptures goes into how Esau was going to round up people and put them in these prisons, man. Okay, those of us that didn't receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, that's scriptural, that's biblical, you know? So anyway, let me get a couple of precepts, and I'm actually on the road driving, so let me actually pull over to get to a liable place to park real quick so I can really get this lesson in and focus. Let me park. So give me 1 second, brothers. Here we go. All right. So anyway, so let's listen to the rest of it.
Who were wearing black clothing, and I believe they had weaponry. And what I saw was those that did not have the mark 666 were being taken away in like a bus, like you know those American buses, the American school buses, the yellow one.
And essentially that's those prison buses that they're gonna be detaining people on because they didn't receive the mark. Okay, those people that buck up against the system, like Trump. I think he was said to deploy, I believe, what it was like 500 troops to all 50 states just to help the National Guard. Which, you know, why is he doing that if they wasn't talking about, you know, locking things back down? Because ultimately you got another Pandeezy #2 on the horizon too, and there were videos that was coming out about a possible another lockdown if what's happening in China, because people are getting sick, you know, people are catching flus and all this other shit. And you know, the first time they did lockdowns, that was like a soft trial run, but now this is going to be the real deal, you know, like they say, the real deal Holyfield. This is going to be the real one, okay? Because this time bodies are going to be dropping. And that first ordeal was to test to see who was going to actually comply with the government. And they got a lot of kickback from it, you know?
It was like one of those buses, but it was in black. They were being taken away. I can't say where they've been taken away to. I have to share exactly what I saw in the dream, but they were taken away. As I woke up from the dream, I was talking to someone, and as I was sharing my dream with that person before I shared it with you, I felt sharp pains go through my hand here. And as I was explaining the dream, I got shivers through me, okay? I believe this to be a confirmation. Please pray about this. To me, it's very clear what the dream means. You need to read all relevant Bible verses exactly as they are for yourself. I am going off memory here. So, driving into the city, it was a 666 checkpoint. If you didn't have it, you were taken away on an American-style school bus, but it was painted black. With my own thinking here, you were taken away either to be forced to have the mark or to be executed. This is my own thoughts from the dream. This is very serious. Pray about this and be ready. Again, very seriously, please pray about everything in my dream. Pray about this. Guys, to prepare and get ready, watch the brand new playlist that I'm still working on. It is pinned within the comments. Bless you. You be safe. I'll catch you again soon.
And there you go. All right. So let's get a couple of precepts here. It's not going to be a long lesson, but let's get this, because I think the Lord sent him a vision. Because the scriptures goes to how dreams lifted up fools. Because, you know, you got those people that every time they have a dream, they always feel like it's some type of spiritual sign. Now, sometimes it just be your mind trying to conjure up all the madness that you didn't took in for the day and then just making sense of it, which dreams really don't make sense. All right. But this is the book of Sirach 34. And I'm going to start at verses 6. It says, if they not be sent from the Most High in thy visitation, set not thy heart upon them. It says, for dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them. But see, what he's speaking of is in the scriptures. This is how we know that it's prophetic, because it's in the scriptures. All right. And the Lord said that he will, pour out his spirit on all flesh. And, the people who's going to prophesy and dream dreams and have visions. As a matter of fact, let's get that in Joel 2 and 26. And it reads here. Is it? Yep. Joel 3 and Joel 2. And I'm going to start at verses 28. And it reads. And it says here, and it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions, man. Okay. Now you got the men of the Lord. We have visions. We have dreams. Okay. We have, visions, which dreams and visions are synonymous, but you can tell the difference between just a typical dream and a vision. Like shit, earlier this year, and I kid you not, I had a dream that I was in a concentration camp, and the Lord took me through the whole ordeal. And right after that dream, it may have been roughly the beginning of the year. I think it was still cold out, maybe February, maybe going into March. And right after that, that's when black women was getting these text messages talking about meet them at the local such and such at 5 o'clock in the morning, because you're getting ready to pick. We gonna have a bus to come and pick you up, and we're gonna escort you to the cotton field. And Jake was getting disturbed by that, because essentially they want to throw our asses back into captivity, man. Hardcore slavery. But right after I had that dream about being in the concentration camp, then all of a sudden Keisha was getting them text messages that they throwing them back in slavery. So yeah, man. Okay. But it says here, also upon the servants and upon my handmaids in those days I will pour out my spirit, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. And the sun should be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Okay, so these are the times of the days of vengeance, man. And when they declare martial law, they're not gonna have any mercy on you people. All right, because a foreign military is being bred right in your backyard. All those illegals they brought over here 2 years ago under the Biden administration. All right, that Iranian terrorist, he said that you're gonna know exactly who I am. This dude did 12 years in a cot based on some DT, domestic terrorism shit, and they let this dude out right into the United States, man. Why they're talking about, well, we got to grab up illegals and migrants, but what about these Iranians? What about these Ukrainians, these Russians, these Chinese nationals, these Semitic nationals? What about these people that appear to be UN troops, man, that was sitting on the corners at the head of New York City, sitting on corners and just posted up? There's sleeper cells all around us, man. And when they get that call, they're going to be activated, because, see, there's a lot going on in the world that's going to require the presence of the American military. So with that being said, when shit collapse here, they're going to have a foreign military that's going to take and assume the authority to keep some type of functioning government intact. Because when habeas corpus is suspended and martial law is declared, they are the government, pretty much. That's the authoritative rule of that day. Okay? This is going to be a draconian type setup. So let's go here. Draconian law, that's coming back in a big way. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down on you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he had but a short time. Okay, and that devil was talking about the so-called white man. Not spiritual demon Satan that a lot of you people talk about. Oh, the devil gonna throw us in prison. Yeah, that's talking about the so-called white man. All right, a spirit can't throw. I mean, anything is possible. A spirit can throw your ass in prison, but it's not likely that a apparition would throw you in prison. But instead, the spiritual demon Satan, which dwells in these Edomites, they're gonna be the ones that's gonna conjure up the wickedness and put you Israelites in there and their own people. Okay, because you got a lot of people speaking out against this guy, Trump. And Trump, he don't give a damn about locking you up in a concentration camp and throwing away the key. He don't give a shit, man. Okay, because Trump is in the mindset, look, if you oppose me, then we ain't got shit to talk about. And that's a real devil for you. You see? But it says here, rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devils come down you having great wrath, because he have but a short time. Yeah, because his time is up. So he's getting ready to accelerate this forwarding of the New World Order, which is all essentially in the Lord's plan to get Esau to make a move, man. Because right now, things are being put in play, but it's still stagnant. Okay, you still have an economy going. You still have people going to work. All right, you still have a functioning government. People are still walking around here like ain't nothing going to happen. But it's going to come a time that the Lord is going to just turn this place upside down overnight, man. And I can't wait for that day. I'm sick of dealing with this shit, bro. You know, dealing with you people and your madness and your wickedness. Our women are completely out of order. And Jake is out of order. It's like, okay, enough is enough, man. Let's get on with it. All right. But 2 Ezra 15, and I'm going to start at verses 15. It says, for the sword and the destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up to fight against another with swords in their hand. That's civil war. It says, for there should be sedition among men invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of that action shall stand in their power. Yeah, because people, they just not going to give a damn. All right, people ain't trying to hear, oh, well, we got to do lockdown number 2 because of some shit they created in the laboratory. All right, and they're going to have a lot of people that's going to resist that mark of the beast, that chip, you know, because they understand that this government is bent on infringing on people's freedoms and rights. And this is why you have the whole AI movement now, man. And people are waking up to it. So a lot of these cold-blooded cracker Americans, man, these patriots, they ain't going to go for Esau putting a goddamn chip in them, man. Let alone confiscating their guns. They're not going for it. All right. Jake is the one that's going to allow himself to be RFID chip because essentially Jake wants the system to continue, you know, and that's when they're going to surround your neighborhoods and they're going to send in the military and they're going to kick the doors in. I had a vision of that, too, years ago. It was at 4:44 in the morning, man. The Lord showed me a time clock in a vision, and I was in the bedroom, but I was standing up in the middle of the room, and I looked to my right, and there was a clock that had 4:44 on it. And I heard screams of children, women, men, you know, in the heat of the night, doors being kicked in, guns blazing, and the Lord showed me that through the spirit. And I woke up 4:44, so I was like, okay. So yeah, man, the Lord, he's getting ready to make some strong moves out here, and brothers, just be ready. All right, because a lot of us can get jammed up in this coming martial law too. All right, because essentially it's going to be all around us. If you live in a city, then you better believe that you ain't going to be able to get on the interstate, okay, to try to get to the back roads, because everybody's going to be trying to get out the city at once in case of an attack or some societal collapse, however they decide to do it. And that's going to be basically right pickings, man. Okay, they going to say, hey, if you don't have the chip, deport to your nearest facility to get your chip so you can assume your identity and your life. We know what goes down in the concentration camp. They're not called death camps for nothing. Okay, a good movie of that to show is Belcourt Experiment, or it's a movie called Hostel. Okay, which Hostel deals with brothels over there in parts of Europe, and it was just a bunch of sick, crazy Edomites that just lock people up and torture people for the benefit of the rich. And you got people like that for real. They even got shit like that on the dark web, you know. But it says here, a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. And a man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods for the lack of bread and great tribulation, man. All right. So, yeah. Luke 21, and I'm going to start at verses 20. And it says, and when ye should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know the desolation thereof is nigh. Okay, the abomination that make desolation. You know, going into those Romans at the time when the temple was sacked, and, you know, they scattered us until you have what they call a diaspora, you know. But yeah, it says when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, that's martial law. Because even at that time, over 2,000 years ago, you had the Romans that rolled on Jake and entrenched the people in this, you know, they locked them in the city, so to speak. And the ones that made it outside to the hills and to the mountains, a lot of them died from cannibalism, you know, died from starvation, because all the rations were pretty much, they were rationed off. Same thing, we have a food shortage here, a food crisis. All right. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart not out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Okay. So yeah, time is coming. Scriptures goes into it. Jeremiah 6, And I'm going to start at verses 22. It says, behold, says Yahweh, behold, a people coming from the north country, and a great nation should be raised from the sides of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel, having no mercy, and their voices roar like the sea. That's Esau's military. It says, and they ride upon horses, set in array as men for war against thee, O daughter of Zion. Okay? And when you think of men of war, you think of military. And it reads, and it says, we have heard the fame thereof, and our hands wax feeble. Anguish have taken a hold on us, and pain as a woman in travail. So go not forth into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy in fears on every side. Just like they showed you in the movie The First Purge. Scriptures say there will be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. You know? There's a precept I was looking for. Oh, Zechariah 14. This is a good one. It reads, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and the spoils should be divided in the midst of thee. The spoils of you Jakes, man. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city should be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Goes into graped. And half of the city should go forth into captivity, which is the concentration camps, and the residue of the people should not be cut off from the city. All right? So yeah, man, I'm going to end it, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Shemi Hawashai. Lord's will, be edified into the next lesson. Shalom.